Over the past 5 years, I have become increasingly concerned with what is happening to the country that I love, happening to Canada under the Stephen Harper government. And I don't like what I see. I don't like what I see with the democracy. That, it's being eroded in subtle ways that many of us are too busy to follow. I don't like what I see is happening to the environment. We have concentrated our entire focus on becoming a petro superpower at the expense of the alternate energy that could be available. And I don't like that, and I feel that you do need to step up and do something. Well, my approach to stepping up and doing something was to join the Liberal Party of Canada, and then of course you wanted to check out the convention. So well, many of my friends went south in February of 2014. Dawn and I took our vacation money and we went to Montreal in February. And it was a blast, and I learned tons, and I met really great people, and it was wonderful to be part of the policy making that goes on the floor of the convention, and to see how individuals in the ridings have their voice moved up through to the policies that are now the policies of the Liberal Party of Canada. And while we were at that convention, we attended the Judy LaMarche fundraiser. It's a really special fund that is supporting women candidates at the federal level. And I had always admired Judy LaMarche as a child. I was always really impressed with her. And so at the convention, I was quite astonished when I was approached by the Women's Commission, President of the Women's Commission in BC, to see if I would consider being a candidate, because I had been identified as someone who would be a good candidate in North Okanagan-Shuswap. And I said, what, me? Why me? No, I've got a great life, I've got everything figured out, I've been reappointed to the appeal boards part-time, things are just great, we've got a pack-horse trip coming up, I like it. No, absolutely, no. I'll work on it, but no. And so I kept getting approached. And as Justin Trudeau said at the Judy LaMarche function, he said, you can ask a man once, but you need to keep asking a woman and asking a woman. And as we went along, it got to be August, and I had been asked by a lot of people, and support was really growing. And that caused me a lot of soul searching, some of which was done from the back of a horse. And I thought, why me? What in my background would make this happen? Why would they want me? And what do I know about leadership? And I thought about my background, and I thought, here I am, I'm an only child of retail merchants. The Derkaz family had shoe stores in Vernon and Salmon Arm, and as I'm fond to say, I was put to work at a really early age, and I'm really against child labor. And I have but I used the money to pay for my horse and then to fund my university. I had a father who said, you can do anything you want. He believed in his little girl. And he said, you can have any career you want. I thought that was interesting because in grade 10, my teacher said to me when I was talking about my future, said, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer. He said, no. You'll be married shortly after you graduate from grade 12. Like, that's the way it is. And it gave me great delight to help him with his divorce. So I returned to Salmon Arm after picking up a law degree at the University of BC. When I graduated from law, it was 1978, there were 20% of my class who were female. In 2014, 50%, or slightly over 50% are female. At the time, there were, in 78, back in the bad old days, there were 4% of the lawyers in BC were women, and only 2 judges, I believe. So I really didn't want to be a big city lawyer, and I wanted to come come back to the North Okanagan-Shuswap and work helping people find their way through the legal system and solving problems and just running a small town practice and being a good citizen and being involved in the community. And it was a bit of an eye-opener to come back to Salmon Arm as an articled student and be the only female. I had a funny experience shortly after I was called to the bar. A long-time client of the firm came in and he couldn't see the partner and he was a bit disappointed he got put in with me. And he sat down, he was really grumpy and he looked at me and he said, I have really seen everything. First there were women doctors, and he said, and now women lawyers. And I said, well, you can leave your clothes on in my office. And it worked. He was my client until I think he passed away at a very great age. And they went to the Rotary Club, and I said, my colleagues and my learned friends are members of the Rotary Club, and I want to improve my business. I'm doing real estate and commercial law, business law. I would like to join the Rotary Club. And they said, no, this is a club for men. What are you thinking? And so I thought, okay, 10 years later, I thought, well, okay, I had sold my practice and I was ready for a sabbatical, and there was an offer of young professionals. I was still young at the time, and I thought, young professional Rotary Exchange, I thought I'll apply for that. And they put my application under my door with a note saying, no, this is only for men. And I later heard that the club was concerned that their wives would be concerned about me, which I found hilarious. But what I do find is that it's really good to face discrimination like that. It's nothing I can do, it's who I am. And what I learned from that was that I have a great empathy and compassion for anyone who suffers discrimination. And it's been a lifelong fight of mine to champion those rights. Somehow it seems a lot easier in the community volunteer not-for-profit sector, and there are many women that are amazing women in the North Okanagan-Shuswap, and I'm meeting more of them all the time, who are chair of boards of directors or amazing executive directors. And I don't know why it seems easier to hold leadership positions in those sorts of organizations. But it could be because those are the sorts of low-paid or non-paid jobs, and maybe women are more prepared to do them. It might be that those sorts of positions are appeal to women because they're often in helping roles or for social safety networks or nets. Or maybe that women just rise up through the ranks of those organizations because anyone who will get the job done in a not-for-profit is really admired, and if you get the job done and women are good at that, you go right to the top. I don't know. But the more I thought about the prospect of putting my name forward, the less I slept, and the more I was daunted. And then the more I turned to my friends and my mentors, some of whom are in this room, and we talked, and we walked, and we talked, and we talked, and we talked. And the more I became convinced that women are needed in politics. We are really needed. We're needed in lots of places, but we're needed in politics, and here's what I think, and why I think that. We talk, and we strive for understanding. We listen. Who doesn't want an MP who listens? We support each other, and we're stronger by doing that. We have a different approach to the task. I think we're more collegial. We're more prepared to be vulnerable with other women and let women be vulnerable with us, and it's not a negative. And I found, because I'm now a member of Rotary, I found that, we do sort of have different cultures. The men are talking about the sports. And that is a great bonding. They're talking about their activities. They went out ATVing together, and they're doing those sorts of things. And they're talking about lots of action, and their technology, and things like that. And I think about the groups where I'm with mostly women, and we talk about our relationships. our relationships, not just with our guys, but that's a little bit of it, but also with each other, or with our relationships in the workplace. It's really important. And what is a country about but relationships? What is a federation about but relationships? Why do we have a prime minister who has not sat down with the premiers of the provinces for many, many years, refuses to talk to the premiers of the provinces collectively? What about sitting down and having a conversation? It's about relationships. So I think women bring that to their task, and and it's needed in politics. I find that women are less hierarchical. We're more collaborative. And also, I think we often define success quite differently. I was asked recently, well, what do you see as sort of the big accomplishments of your life? And I truly see not the law degree, not the successful law practice, not the fact that I retired fairly early. No, I see the fact that I was part of building the Shuswap Community Foundation, and we're putting a huge amount of money into the community for not-for-profit volunteers year after year. So I find that these are important values. To me, I think that that's how I can contribute to helping to run the country. And we made lots of gains in equality, that's for sure. And I don't think I would ever have another man in my office saying, well, I've seen everything, now a woman lawyer. That's pretty last century. But we've also lost ground under the Harper Conservative government. And there are several examples, and I've got many examples, but I'm going to give you a few that have really irked me. One is the cancellation of the National Child Care Program. The Liberal government had, after a great deal of discussion and coordination and cooperation with the federal government and the provincial governments, had in place a National Child Care Program in the Paul Martin government. And that is gone, and it's replaced with $100 a month for children under 6. And now that's just being upped in the budget that isn't being delivered, whatever. But it's, to me, a really telling point, because anyone that's had to go out and find childcare will know just how far $100 for a child under 6 is going to get. Maybe a day and a half of quality childcare. They've closed 12 of the 16 offices, regional offices of the status of women. There's a message. And the Prime Minister has said that an inquiry for murdered and missing Indigenous women is not on the radar. In fact, Justice Minister Peter MacKay had the bad grace to say on International Women's Day that the tough on crime agenda of the Harper Conservatives takes care of it. That's it. So, it's time for a change. And you know what? I am really in. I am in. I'm going to work very, very hard to make that change. And I'm asking each of you in this room to step up and help make that change. I hope you will. Thank you.